All right. So we're going to start any moment now.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Kindly confirm if you can hear me.
Good morning, sir. Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
It's
Wale, can you hear me? Online.
Are you talking to us already online? Oh, we can't hear you.
Sir, can you hear me? Wale, can you hear me?
And the block for laptops. Whoever's looking online.
If you want to contribute now, we can't share. That's what.
My internet.
Fine.
My internet. So, because he has muted the platform. Text. He has muted the laptop. He won't hear. Tell him to unmute.
No, I didn't. I'll mute the. Okay, yeah. I did. They asked me to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
That was talking about that was not.
Can you hear me? But we are hearing online.
Can you
We
hear
are
me?
hearing online. We can hear you. We can hear you. You can hear
Okay, I can hear you too now, but it is on my system.
So your system now.
It's not your speaker.
Okay.
So what's the story?
I'm coming.
Okay, so while we continue to wait for the technical course, and I need somebody that is really great. Come out.
Yes.
No, I'm not talking of the pastors because they are always already told and overflowing. Anyone volunteer, please. You are fighting to somebody. You know the measure. You know the measure of the spirit that is in the message. Please, thank so much for asking. No, I can't. Please put your hands together.
Able to feel also able and that's the cable.
Please put your hands together for. All right, let's meditate. Even this one, why I have to give this? Please welcome the program. I know there's one person that will still say fantastic. And that's a very acceptable. Okay, that is wrong. Please welcome the cross. Thank you. As you're taking your seats, wherever you're sitting next to, please can you help me then? On the morning, on the morning.
I will say straight back.
Okay, to say good morning to you. Before I please you drop your comments in the chat room, say good morning for us too. In fact, you can say good morning from Big Grades, good morning for us, good morning from no, whoever you join us on the phone. Right, thank you very much. So, thank you so much for joining the part 2 of this very interesting. This thing is giving feedback. Is this okay?
It's okay.
All right, so the part 2 of emotional intelligence, working with I believe that it's one subject that we can't really exhaust. And we can't, also talk about it professional and understanding about what it is about and how we can consistently ensure that we demonstrate that intelligence as we interact and engage with one another. Nobody can say that can reach that peak of the heights of emotional intelligence because it's not like IQ, something that keeps moving. You travel from Nigeria to another country, it will require a totally different kind of orientation to be able to succeed in that environment, simply because you need to understand the people, the culture, and every other thing that this that lives behave. And today, this morning, we started a number of things last time. We looked at the fundamental of emotional intelligence. We actually looked at misconceptions and common myths, as well as multiple intelligences beyond recognition. The point we're going to pick up this morning is the emotional intelligence framework. But before we get to that, I just want somebody to tell me one thing that we away from that last session. Somebody online to drop your comments, because this is not a pastor. Just be preaching, to make it interactive. So, you were okay. Thank you very much. Please tell us your name and your function. But from the last session.
Good morning, everyone. I don't expect a lot from the communication department region. So, one key point for me for last week was the way to simplify the definition of communication and made it stick and have expensive to professional. I was the way to simplify to identify the ability, the learning ability to identify, understand, and manage your own emotions and that of others. That's the very simple way of defining it. And also, the experiment, the practical experiment of the cow, the egg, because it was fantastic. So those are the two major points for me for that.
Please help me put your hands together. Yes, anybody from this? Anybody? Let's ignore that. Has anybody drop comment online? Okay. Understanding the type of understanding different other types of intelligence. Thank you. Please put your hands together for. All right. Who's going to represent this side? Yeah, pointing to you. Why do you point me? In fact, for that reason.
I only think that the way was that he had making out of fear. Make me appreciate the multiplicity of skills that is required to move an organization or an organization that tries to reach the target of come this multiplicity of skills. We probably want to challenge something that's very possible.
So now I was trying to say that communication only tries when you allow people to express their individual brilliance, individual skill set, individual talents and gifts, instead of copying them or wanting everybody. You can't clone people. Some organizations love to also clone people with us, right? Yeah, the same way. Yeah, we can have the same set of values, we don't have to necessarily do it. So just one key thing that will stand you out anywhere is for you to always care to please them. So nobody is celebrated for your similarities, but you will always celebrate it for your differences. Yeah, and that is why in a team, for a team to really be a high performing team, you must
Please, can you unmute yourself?
basis. And that is the central claim that it is the greatest predictor of future success, emotional intelligence. All right, because of its framework, which we're going to delve into this one. But before we go ahead, I want to introduce this marshmallow test. It was one of the tests that was, suggested in the book written by Daniel Goleman on emotional intelligence. And they just, picked a number of 4-year-olds and they locked them up in different rooms. And they put the marshmallow in the plate in front of them. Said that, I want you to wait in this room. This marshmallow is yours, but don't eat it yet until I come back. Marshmallows. And let's see what happened to all of them. Okay. So he said that if you can have 2 if you do X. In other words, can you delay gratification? Can you restrain your emotions? Can you manage yourself in the face of pressure, in the face of excitement and all of that? Still be yourself. Because at the end of the day, it proves that you would always get better value if you can exercise patience. All right. And you will see in this short video, is just 3 minutes. I want us to pay attention. What I usually say is that when you are watching a learning video, it's not like Netflix. So you have to watch it and take notes in your mind. If you have paper, just take notes. And at the end of the day, when I said, what did you pick from that session? That is not when you will be reflecting. You need to just quickly say, oh, I observed this, I observed that, and let's move on. Okay.
Okay, sit in that chair. All right, here's the deal. Marshmallow, for you. You can either wait, and I'll give you another one if you wait, or you can eat it now. When I come back, I'll give you another one, so then you'll have two. But stay in here and stay in the chair till I come back, okay? All right. I'm gonna go do something and then I'll come back.
It smells yummy. It smells really good.
All right, so it's up to you. You can have it now or you can wait. Okay? I'll be back. Stay in the chair, okay? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna leave and then I'll come back, okay? So you can either eat it right now or you can wait. Either way, okay? Okay. How'd you do? Did you do good? You did? You wanted to eat it, didn't you? Yeah. So did I tell you I'd give you another one? Okay, now you can have both. You need them.
Sometimes, it means that somebody said that if you don't have one thing that you're standing up for, you will fall for virtually anything. And that is why an emotionally intelligent person must be a highly principled individual. You have to be principled. You have to have set of values that guides and regulates the way you interact with people, interact with your environment, how you do your work, how you speak to people, how you do everything that you do. Okay. What was that? Okay. All right. Okay. That's good. Thank you. So look at this. Emotional intelligence has been proven to be better than IQ. Why? Because that is what can take you far in life. And here, in that marshmallow test, those that went off to do X, that weighted that guy, they are goal-orientated, they are value-driven, they are principled, and therefore they don't allow their emotions. It's actually funny that we say emotional intelligence, and what we are actually trying to manage is the emotions. You are not supposed to get emotional. For the fact that you said it's emotional intelligence, the more reason why you have to be logical. As a matter of fact, the more logical you are, in, being able to respond to situations and demands around you, the more emotional intelligence you will be able to exhibit. And what that simply also means that said, those that wanted marshmallow now, they are short-term, results-oriented people. You are not thinking long-term. On the job, you have to always think, what are those things that you need to really put in place today, even though they might not be rewarded today, but you know that in the long run, it's going to add more value to the organization. But we are all always under immense pressure to just do what we think is necessary now, what you think is only good for you now, instead of what will have long-term impact on yourself and, of course, on the organization. So look at this. The framework of emotional intelligence, 4 buckets. The very first one has to do with you and your person. And the starting point is the self-awareness. As we all know that said, a man know thyself. Somebody said that an unexamined life is not worth living. If you are not able to assess yourself, you remember you did, how many of us did the assessment that I asked us to do last week? How many? So let me tell you, that assessment will have given you an insight into yourself. And the starting point of becoming emotionally intelligent is self-awareness. You cannot lead others if you cannot lead yourself. And you cannot even lead yourself if you don't know yourself. He said, if the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse will be inevitable. You will not be able to know how to manage your excesses and also be able to take advantage of the potentials that you have and develop yourself well. And that is why under self-awareness, it starts with your emotional self-awareness. You have to be aware of the kind of person you are. Somebody asked a question last week about the place of temperament, all right, or personality types in emotional intelligence. It's the starting point, because you can't manage what you don't know. To manage anything, you need to first inspect and understand that thing before you can begin to, manage the thing. So self-confidence is under self-awareness, and self-confidence stems from self-acceptance. You accept yourself. Excuse me, we are all not built the same way. We are not all wired the same way. We are all not gifted the same way. We have not been to the same field of experience in life. And therefore, if you need to accept the uniqueness of your journey, you need to accept it and be able to make the best out of what you have considered to be your giftings and your talents, your skill sets, and all of that. So that is where self-confidence comes in. Because like I mentioned either last week or the very first time when I explained competence to you, I say competence begets confidence. All right, the more competent you are, the more confident you will be. And the equation is very simple. You cannot be confident when you don't know what to do, how to do it, and always willing to do it. Confidence comes from when you are always available to deploy the little, no matter how little that you have, to solve the problem or to address the situation. Are we still together? Online, if you're with us, please, can you drop check in the chat room? Check, just to know that we are still carrying you along. Please give me feedback if they are already responding to you, so that we know they are following us. Comments in the chat room, check. Have you seen anybody? All right, so moving on. Check. So now when you are aware, what is the next stage? The next stage is management. And self-management has to do with being transparent, being true to yourself, being consistent in the way you project yourself to people around you. And of course, people are not around you. Just be true to yourself, transparency. And Be willing to take initiative. Initiative to what? To improve yourself, all right, to improve your environment, to make better whatever is committed into your hands. Taking initiative, not always waiting to be told what to do, but you're always thinking, okay, what can I do to make this situation better? All right. And goal orientation, it means that the moment you know who you are, you must be willing to really set some goals for yourself, target for yourself. And these are the things that will continue to drive your life. You're right. You'll be driven by the knowledge of yourself and how you are managing yourself to success. All right. Because all of us, that's the whole essence of any job offer you picked, is because you are managing yourself to success. But when you are on that job, are you really delivering the kind of value that would make the organization to really appreciate you for who you are? And being optimistic. Optimism simply means that you are always looking at the bright side of things, the positive side of things, instead of being pessimistic all the time. I was having a conversation with someone a while back, and he said, I've observed this particular individual that is usually more pessimistic than optimistic. And the same thing. I said, I observed the same thing too. But guess what? It is possible the person might not even be aware that he or she is really pessimistic. What does it mean to be pessimistic? You are always, complaining about situations. You are always not willing to try new things. You always, the worst of everything, and you are not always, willing to accept a new way of doing things. You say that this is, or you're always saying that things cannot be done, or there's, that's the end of whatever it is. So basically what we are saying is that for you to be emotionally intelligent, you must be optimistic and adaptability. Situations cannot always be the same. All right. Already in fountain, things are not the same anymore. How adaptable are you? How are you adapting? How are you already telling yourself to know that the environment has changed? The focus has changed. The vision and the mission driving us as an organization has changed. And to that extent, you see, you cannot, you can't use the analog mindset to excel or thrive in a digital environment. So it's either you also begin to challenge yourself and drop some of those analog thinking, all right, so that you can be able to align properly. And the last one, which is what we saw in that video, self-control. Self-control is very, very important. And I think when I got to this point, I remember the story of Jacob and Esau. Yeah, whereby Esau sold his birthright because of immediate gratification, immediate pressure, and unable to control himself. And we all also know what happened to Jacob. Jacob, in spite of his weaknesses, in spite of all the flaws and maybe errors, and some smart move that people always say that is a supplanter. All right, God still identified with him. All right, God still said, I'm the God of Jacob. All right, and so we need to just understand that self-control is very important. All right, to enable you get the best out of yourself. And recently we've been talking about potential and kinetic, if you recall. All right, your potential would just sit in there, but what people will see and feel and benefit from is your kinetic. And in kinetic, it simply means that you have to always be willing to do and to contribute to whatever you are asked to do. And as much as possible, all of these will let you know how to manage yourself, know yourself, manage yourself. Then the second, the other part, which has to do with others. This morning she reminded us of the definition of emotional intelligence. All right, to identify, understand, and to manage your emotions. So the self-awareness and self-management will help you to be able to do that for yourself. The other two will help you to do that for others. So manage your emotions and that of the other people. All right. So the third component is the social awareness. Because you operate in an environment, in the Fountain of Light Church, you are dealing with different people from different walks of life, with different beliefs, different, value sets and all of that. Then you need to be able to exercise what we call empathy. Somebody said that for the fact that something is easy for you doesn't mean that it is easy. So you need to be able to understand that when you relate with people. Rather, always be patient to be able to show people the better way to get this done, particularly if you think you know it better. All right. And not just assume, all right, that they just don't want to do that stuff. Then service orientation. It means that you must always be available to render service. When you are rendering service, you are contributing your quota to make something better, to add value to somebody, and to make either the environment better or better the customer's life, customer's business, people around you, generally colleagues and all of that. And service orientation simply also means that you are someone that would not wait until you are told to do something before you do it, even when it is not directly under your purview. This person has service orientation. And the third one is organizational awareness. You must be aware of the nature of your organization such that you don't behave out of character. You don't do something that does not align with the value set of that organization. Now, the next, which is the last one, is the relationship management. In relationship, somebody said that the goal of relationship is relief. R-E-L-I-E-F. Relief. If I'm in a relationship with you, the whole essence of us coming together is for me to add value to you as much as I get value from you. And emotional intelligent people would always be looking at what can I do to develop this other person? What kind of investment can I make in this other person? What do I have that this person needs that I can give? And as long as you are always thinking that way, trust me, you will get along with virtually everyone. Are you with me? Are we still together? Then leadership. You can't lead others until you lead yourself, and that's why you need to start from that end. So leadership is important in managing relationship. Then be a change catalyst. Why? If my working with you is not going to, my working with you should be able to improve you. Your working with me should be able to improve me. And in order to do that, you must be a change catalyst. Change catalysts are people that are always able to identify flaws in the system, and they're able to always also recommend solutions. In other words, you want to effect a change. You want to, every change, particularly intentional and deliberate change, it's always towards a better end. Nobody will want to change when you know that the end of that change will not improve you or make you better, either as an individual or as an organization. And because we work together as a team, teamwork is important, conflict management. Trust me, there will always be conflict. And emotionally intelligent people would have the courage to be able to confront whatever is bringing that conflict and be able to have the conversation, with the people involved in that situation and be able to resolve it effectively. Because most times, conflict unattended to will lead to toxicity in organization. When you have conflict with people and you are not able to resolve it, all right, it's going to degenerate because others will pick that vibe. Others will pick it. Somehow people will just know. And guess what? Before you know it, people will start pitching tents. And before you know it, you have bad blood within the organization and create, it will affect productivity. And last but not the least is influence. Everybody say influence. Influence. So my working with you should be able to influence you positively. All right. And the best way to influence people is to always ask yourself, what can I do to make this person's life better? All right. In fact, I always say it differently, that the best way to communicate your relevance, all right, is to always look for what you can do to improve the life of the next person, improve the job that has been given to you, the task that has been given to you. And that is how you with your influence or your power within the organization, and you'll be able to be someone that people can reckon with. Now, in summary of this framework, like I told you, the very first part has to do with you, starting with your self-awareness and your self-regulation and self-motivation. Never, ever, ever expect your motivation to come from a third party. Never, never, never leave your motivation in the hand of a third party. If you do so, honestly, you might actually be the most miserable of men, because the person that you're expecting your motivation from is also looking for motivation. And that is why in an organization, salary cannot motivate you. Oh yes, it's an aspect of motivation because there's intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. The most important than the most enduring and most reliable is the intrinsic motivation that does not depend on the external factor, but depends solely on your person. All right. And that is what you get when you become emotionally intelligent. You see somebody that is emotionally intelligent, in every situation, the guy is happy. The guy is positive. How am I doing with time? Okay, well, you don't know what else I still have in front. So this is it. A very quick story. 3 guys, they were working for a boss. And this boss, everybody knows that, I mean, she was the most difficult boss around. On a lighter note, people always say that when you enter our office, you will see a trophy, all right? Trophies, placed on our table as the most difficult boss around. Yes, and guess what? It got to a point, there are 3 people working with this lady, and 1 out of the 3, the guy is always happy, while the rest, they are always very sad. They are always depressed and all of that. And they are working for the same person, and this same person is the reason why they find themselves in that situation. So one day, the 2 other guys, they got curious because this guy just got kicked out of the boss office, which, she has already given the guy the peace of her mind. And instead of the guy to be depressed, the guy just smiled and walked out of the office. And I said, come, that is your head correct at all? Somebody just finished washing you, undressing you and all of that, and all you do is to keep on smiling, and you've gone ahead to do your work. Say, you guys don't understand. Say, I have a secret. Oh, what's the secret? He said, okay, after work today, please follow me. I will take you somewhere that will let you know how I deal with this kind of situation, because my motivation belongs to me, not to any other person. Guess what? At the close of work, he entered his vehicle and off to Ikoyi Club. Yeah. So when they got to Ikoyi Club, the guy opened the trunk of his car, brought out his bag, and they walked into the club. The guy removed his skate, changed into his sport gear, and brought out a racket and a ball, and off to the squash court. So when he got to the squash court, squash is a game that you play with yourself. It's yourself and the wall. You don't have, the wall is your opponent. So the guy said, this is where I come every evening. After all the bashings in the office, I will just come here, and this ball that you are seeing in my hand is the head of our boss. And he said, this racket, what I do, I will throw it off for calling me stupid, for calling me idiot, for calling me unintelligent. And I would smash her head against the wall several times. I will sweat it out. The next day, I'm ready to take more. And I'm okay. So in other words, what that simply means is that you must find a way to protect and guard your motivation and not allow anybody to be responsible. In terms of your weaknesses and your strength, and also be able to keep your motivation, because motivation is the driver of activity. When people are demotivated, productivity will drop. So yes, whatever is responsible for it. Yep. Yeah. And that's why they say that emotions drive people and people drive performance. So if I'm able to keep you emotionally balanced and okay, I will get the best from you. That is the thinking. Because nobody can render exceptional service in its that state of mind. But you can render exceptional service in a glad state of mind. It is when you are excited that you're able to give your best. We stick together. All right, so moving on. What happened? Oh, really? Do you have the charger for any of the laptops there? Charger, type C charger, quick. Do you have it there? Please get for me. For me. Be able to get from the office now. Quick, please. All right. We must always prepare. Did it give a warning? Did the system give a warning for low battery?
It just trips.
All right, so far, let's just quickly find out. So far, any question? All right, let's use this moment to take questions, and let's deal with. Hello. Yes.
Good morning, everybody. What if you work in an organization where you are not allowed to be proactive? You try to, and at the end of the day, you are bashed for being proactive. How do you handle that?
Okay, even though that's like kind of, blanket when you say proactive. Proactivity, nobody will challenge you for being proactive. I can say that. But maybe when you bring up an initiative that you think will help the organization, I want to believe I can deduce that's the, okay.
Specific, okay. Something that happens normally in an organization, and it gets to a time when this thing is supposed to be done, and you do it, and you're bashed that, why did you do it? Why didn't you ask me? And stuff like that.
Okay. So now let me also quickly say this. In an organization, there is a structure. All right, there's a hierarchy. There is a chain of command. All right. So if I were in your situation, this is a routine thing. This is something that should happen. And probably we are in a state or in a time that thing should happen. Instead of going, particularly if it's because, it depends on what it is. All right. You might actually need to get the concurrence of that person, particularly when you know that, excuse me, this is a routine thing. This is what we do normally. Just say that it is that time of the year, is that time of the month that we need to get this done. And therefore, we have prepared this, and therefore, we need your concurrence to execute. Why? Let me tell you why. In organizations, sometimes people at the top, sometimes they are privy to some information that we report to them may not be privy to. Even though it might be the right thing, that might not be the right time for that organization to execute or to implement that thing. And therefore, my own suggestion would be, you can't get it wrong when you are in the habit of clarifying. All right. So clarification is very important. Somebody else will call it communication, communicate. I can't get it wrong when, even though we agreed last night, this morning, do this thing. All right. It is this morning I want to do it. Particularly if, depending on the nature, I'm saying again, say, okay, we're about to, should we still go ahead? Particularly when you also now understand the style, all right, of the individual that you are dealing with. Let me give you this personal story. My former boss in FCMB, one of my former bosses, so nobody would know exactly where. I had several bosses there. This woman okay, I've given the, because it's not so nice. So this person at my level as a manager will still expect that I run things by her. I wanted to say certain things, but it's not certain things. Run things by her, even when those things are routine or regular things. And I kept telling my subordinate that if I should go ahead to do this thing, because it is right, all right, I will be right, but at the same time, I will be wrong. I want somebody to tell me, why do you think that I will be right, and at the same time, I will be wrong? Anybody? Do you get that scenario? Okay, I'm supposed to do something. We know that there are things that I'm supposed to do, but I know that my boss always wants me to run things by her, all right? And I went ahead to do that thing, even though it is the right thing, but I will be wrong doing it. Bros, I won't call you. I need people.
You will be wrong because you didn't run it through your boss. Run it through the boss before you go ahead doing it. Yes.
Thank you very much. Please help me appreciate that. There's something in customer service. Say that obey CI. Obey CI. CI means commandant intent. Commandant. I think it's commandant. When you say the person leading, the commandant's intent, yes, that's it. CI, obey the commandant's intent. In customer service, the customer is the commander. And the intention or the intent of that person is what you, as a service provider, must always strive to do. You can deliver excellent service in your definition and still not be excellent. In fact, it can be poor, not just average in the eyes of the customer, simply because you did not obey the person's intent. Please, I think this is very crucial for us as teams. Don't let us take anything for granted. And don't let us say that I just assume. I told you what assumption means. Never base your decision on assumption. Are we back up? Why are we not? No. You bring it here. Sorry, guys. So you put this here. Hello. Charging out. Yeah. Okay. So, does that shed some light on your question, please? Yeah. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, all. We know how structures function and work, but let's look at the case of emergency. If you have an emergency situation in an office and where you work, and maybe you try to get your superior, you can't get, because I can give a case, maybe what happened to me. I think there was a particular time in the Bible college, we were supposed to have leadership training with Pastor Taiwo. So he was coming. Pastor Kayode is my immediate boss then. So he traveled to America, and I was person in charge then to run things. Now, the pumping machine got bad. So everywhere was just messed up. So out of zeal, I went to procure the pumping machine, did everything so that when he came, everything was fine. But later I was actually rebuked. In fact, to get that money, that 100 and something thousand was a big issue. So in such a thing, I was a little bit discouraged, but later I consoled myself. Shebi Namiduam, and everything worked well. Pastor Taiwo commended everyone and all that. Pastor Kayode was not blamed and all that, but nobody knew what happened. So in case of emergency in such a situation, what do we do? Because if we can't solve it now, then maybe you say somebody will now sit and says, since I can't get approval, I let it waste. And the system might collapse. Yeah.
Please help me appreciate that question. I love the fact that you started by saying in a structured environment, okay? That thing that you did, even though an emergency situation, at the point of executing it, you could have, but I just noticed that we are just all getting to embrace email system, emails culture. Supposed to just send an email. It's abroad, wherever he is. You report the situation and you tell him what you're about to do. Let's assume that he didn't reply your mail and you went ahead to do it. You have a backup. That, sir, we try to reach you. The effort to reach, see, you guys don't understand. Organization, you just have to always ensure that you go by the laid down procedures and, policy. Do you understand? But you did a good thing. That's what I'm saying. You did a good thing, but you were wrong. Okay. All right. So what was now the issue? That you should have left the situation like that? Yes. So you will have asked that, okay, what would you have preferred that we do, sir? Because I should be able to give you your alternative option. Do you understand? I should be able to. That's another thing leaders need to learn. Hello, you just don't shut people down. All right. When you shut people down, not even shut people down. When you turn down people's initiative, bring out your superior initiative. Pastor D, you wanted to say something. Please quickly come. Do you understand? So, but my point is that you must always ensure that you communicate whatever you want to do to your superior.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. It's unfortunate that on this part of the world, we have an issue with very thick lines of respect and Namibi Oga. I was sharing with him about a few days ago about this picture that I saw years ago in the course of training and all that. One guy was wearing suspenders with a nice tie, looking, loads better than he and I combined. And the other guy was sitting down wearing a suit with a bow tie. And the question at the bottom, who is the boss? Immediately I just had the guy sitting down now, meanwhile, but the guy standing had his hand like this. But on the chair, I think, posture of a boss. But I'm thinking, this guy will get this kind of liver. Now him be boss. But then I looked again, this hand was like this, but the other hand was at the back. Oga no go do that one, but Oga fi do this one. But this guy sitting down, also, bottom line, there should be a very thin line when you look between who the boss is and who the subordinate is, for lack of a better word. Now, my challenge is that when lower officers, forgive my language, because it's just I'm trying to do things. The boss should be happy that at least this guy's in my department and things have happened. Now, not putting aside the processes. Like he said, send the email communicate. Once it's been done, you are free because there is an issue at hand that needs to be done. A boss is only a boss when he's redundant in the situation. If you have to be there all the time before things happen, you're not a boss, you're a tyrant. Pastor Card is my colleague, he's not a tyrant. He's a great man. It's just that I am putting it in particular context. Now, there are times where he just wants to be abreast of things, but that you did the wrong thing, you didn't. Let's make it clear. So sometimes you even have to take the bashing. And because of the level of EQ that you have, you let it slide because it doesn't happen every day. Yeah. Sometimes we absorb the issue and we move on. So if we cannot also learn that human beings will not always do things the way we expect, human beings will not always, bosses will not respond the way we want, and even subordinates will not behave, we're going to have a problem. But as long as our EQ is here, we'll be fine. It won't work every day, but if it works most of the time, then the organization is successful.
Excellent. Please help me appreciate him. And very quickly, let me now learn that by telling you that in organization, all right, that is what we call notable flaws and notable accomplishments. If you are in the habit of always doing things contrary to the laid down instruction, which means your notable flaws will outweigh your notable accomplishments. But we must all always strive to ensure that your notable accomplishment overshadows or outweighs your notable flaws. When you are that kind of person, even when they escalate your matter to a level, some people will say, it's not this person. It must have been something. So I think we should just have that at the back of our mind, because last, using PJ's slang, all of us will be all right. All right, so now, though we said emotional, okay, so sorry, so what he just explained now is the flip side of how you are expected to relate with people. Pastor D said you should be able to, understand that this person might have a low moment and you yourself can have a low moment. Is under empathy. Empathy is crucial in every human interaction, be it domestic, be it business. Empathy would always make a difference. And social skills, your ability to interact and engage in a non-threatening manner, is very important as somebody that is emotionally intelligent. Then the last one is the relationship management. Look at this side, it's talking about you personal, and this is talking about your interpersonal. I think someday, we're going to talk about the 7 habits of highly effective people. And I believe that we are also going to learn a whole lot if we embark on that series. Now, even though we said emotional intelligence, you can't get emotional. Turn to your neighbor and say, stop getting emotional. Stop getting emotional. Use your mind to be able to, take decisions, as it were. Look at this. There is what we call proactive and reactive model. She was talking about being proactive, but let me explain proactivity and reactivity to you this morning. There is what we call stimulus and response. Stimulus and response. This is stimulus, this is response. When stimulus is external trigger, all right, or external influence on you, and unfortunately you're the one in front, so I can still use it. For whatever reason, I decided to slap Brother Sylvester now, all right? Without thinking, it gets up and give me wham back. That is reactive. All right? Reactive. And it's still a response. But what he has failed to do is to process that external trigger or that external influence on him. The proactive measure is this. The proactive, still stimulus and response. At the middle here is what we call freedom to choose. Freedom to choose. I come back to him. I gave him a slap. Instead of him getting up and slap me, wow. The first thing he did was to, is everything okay? Are you all right? Are you out of your mind? Just ask me some set of questions. I said, sorry, sir. That was a mosquito perching on your thing. But it could have been, probably I just didn't weigh the speed and the weight. All right, I just gave him boom. But he just assumed that I had, what an infantry. You dare slap me? And we find ourselves in situations like that a lot. And that is just being purely emotional. This is being proactive, all right? Instead of being reactive. And here is freedom to choose. Always know,
So nobody can ever make you feel inferior without your permission. You need to understand that every time. Always tell yourself that. All right. But whenever you behave like that, Pastor. When your emotion is being hijacked, and emotional hijack simply, is this coming up again? All right. So when you let off the control of your emotions, then you will experience what is called emotional hijack. All right. I tried to explain it the last time. There is something in our brain. I hope this thing will come up so that you can see it, because I have the picture of it here. All right. So emotional hijack essentially is a state when an individual's cognitions are overpowered by his or her emotions. Your reasoning it's overpowered by your emotions. Your ability to think was overpowered by what has just hit you. All right. It is usually referred to in the context of aggression or fearfulness. All right. And with respect to aggression, it can be said to be a sudden unleashing of rage towards another person. Rage maybe in terms of physical, engagement or verbal engagement. All right. And apart from that, it is an extreme emotional outburst or an emotional explosion caused by an incident that may trigger anger or fear in an individual. So, in essence, anytime you jump into conclusions, are we back? Good. Anytime you jump into conclusions, when you engage with people, that is emotional hijack. All right. When you explode, or you withdraw, or you shut down, because in the temperaments, the different temperaments, they respond differently to different situations. Are you with me? What's that? They can't see again. No, it's not going to be here now. No. Please go ahead. But I'm not as intelligent, so you don't have control over how people treat you or what people say to you or what people do to you. But you must always be in control how you respond to what they do or what they say to you. Do you understand? So, but normally, if I'm emotionally intelligent and if I know how to relate with people effectively, I'm supposed to say, oh, Sylvester, please, there's mosquito. And because even if it's mosquito, ordinary this would take it off. What do you think?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Wow. Okay. Now, because we are dealing with people, yes, I can understand maybe the person doesn't know, but ordinarily, even someone who is not highly emotionally intelligent, seeing a mosquito on someone will say, there's mosquito.
Forget that this was just an analogy.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, because I want to pull what Kalu said. Yes, in that situation of sir, this is the situation, like he said, he had done that already, but there was no response. You talk to somebody, I see mosquito on your cheek. I tell you, sir, there's a mosquito on your cheek. You're still talking. I'm saying it, sir, there's a mosquito on your cheek, and you do not answer. It is my place to leave the mosquito to suck your blood or to kill the mosquito or drive it off. So what he did in this instance now was to get the mosquito off the cheek, quote and unquote, from the organization. And then the person is like, why? This was where the boss, quote and unquote, or the organization, not the boss, the organization reacted. Yeah. They didn't They didn't respond.
Wasn't a proactive,
yes, he took proactive measure, but now the superior, the organization, didn't respond appropriately. Rather, they reacted, and If he wasn't emotionally intelligent to absorb it and let it go, it would have escalated or to something else.
Absolutely. Now, let me turn to your neighbor. Say, this training is for you. This training is for you. So think more how you are going to apply it to yourself and leave me to how I'm going to apply it to myself. Chicken, do you understand? Because really, honestly, we will have a lot of debate about how somebody else is behaving, why is that person behaving that way, and all of that. But I need us to
Inwards.
all right,
Yeah.
myself. If I'm better for myself, just like me, I don't know why I am seeing a correlation between this conversation and the conversation about love. What is love?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Because you have to think, how can I be better for my organization? How can I be better for my boss? How can I be better for my colleagues? How can I be better for? You understand?
Yeah.
The more you think about that, the better for us. As a person.
Yes, I just wanted to point out that sometimes the boss reacting that way could be out of a certain context, not this particular issue. You know, whatever he's reacting to may be different from what you have just done. That's a possibility.
It is. It is. And that still brings us to, you must focus on projecting your notable, accomplishments more. Because in appraiser, when we start doing performance appraiser, one of the flaws in appraiser is the error of recency. Error of recency. So you'll be judged by your most recent action instead of the aggregate or cumulative, output over a period of time. And you can't do anything about it because that is the subjective aspect of performance appraiser. So it is now the onus is on you to always ensure that, hey, be good in and out of season. All right. Whatever it is, just be good. Yes.
Are we finished? So let's finish it now. Part 3.
Honestly, okay, I think we'll keep going. Let's just. I think I would I always also believe this. And guess what? I learned this from Pastor Bimbo of blessed memory. She always said that don't push it, don't force it, let it happen naturally. Yeah. So don't let us push it, don't let us force it. Let us just enjoy the flow. All right. If that's it. But we had a plan. It's not that we didn't have a plan. Just like pastors, we have a message. Let's kill this subject for a while.
Okay, this is just looking for trouble. Let me put it that way. So the person that slapped, any evidence of the mosquito on your hand that you killed it?
Good question. Because at the end of the day, show us the evidence. Probably that will now exonerate you. The person will just continue to rub his, But please remember that this is just a metaphorical example. All right. We do a lot of things on behalf of people. In fact, we treat people like parent to child a lot of times, and it is wrong. Yep. Dr. Kalu.
What I actually want to say, just like what Iboro said, we might not really react the same way. Like, okay, coming to myself, I know I have been good. I'm a good staff. I can rate myself. And what I did then, I think that was the first time I did that kind of thing. So what I would suggest to organizations, there are ways we can bend rules. Because emergency is emergency. Because the way I reacted, another staff might not react that way. That might kill that staff initiative. So definitely if the roof is falling, anything is happening, let me just stay, let it fall so that let all of us go under, and such disposition will crash an organization. So I believe structure is good, but there are ways to actually bend some rules when you look at it and see that this works out fine.
Please help me appreciate him once again. Yeah, I am with him 100%. But I'll also tell him that he has learned a very vital lesson from that encounter, how not to treat your subordinate. So the person taught you something that you shouldn't do, all right? And the person also gave you the opportunity to always see how your subordinate will feel if you treat them that way. I've gone through some stuff, and therefore I tell you that when the Bible said, I count it all joy, it's for a reason. Every good, bad, and ugly situations would always make you a better person. To make you stronger, will make you better, and it will refine you in the process. Somebody was calling me here.
Okay, so thank you, sir. I want to ask a question about this emotional hijack. Okay, so I read through and from your explanation. So I want to ask if, because let's be real, at times we find ourselves in positions of these expressions. And so can it be said that having a regret or retracing your steps? So let me give an example. So there was a time an incident happened between me and a co-worker, and she said she was going to slap me. And I got infuriated, and I wanted to go and meet her to slap me. And so let's see what thing will happen. You know, so I entered into that mode. But intervention of a respected, in fact, Bradleyco intervened and he said, yeah, calm down, yeah, sit down. And he said, okay, so what? So he intervened and I calmed down. And the funny thing that surprised me that this lady, this co-worker, came back and apologized to me. That's what I want to ask. That's okay. So because yeah, talking about emotional hijacking. Okay, so what happens after can I use the word repent after your action, your outburst? Can that also be called emotional intelligence? Okay.
In fact, ability to say sorry is an expression of emotional intelligence. Ability to admit, even though I'm the boss, I said I'm wrong, is an indication of emotional intelligence. And what that person did was to let you know that, yes, we are all human, but to always reflect and correct your wrong is emotional intelligence. So I agree with you. All right. We would always, most of the time, you will see, you'll find yourself in this kind of situations whereby what you did is not really something that represents your best self. Yep. It's not what represents your best self, and you will know different things could have led to it. So when you have extreme aggression, regret of past action once you have calmed down, and of course, your action that has strong impact on the other person, those are emotional hijack situation. So I think I want us to wrap up on this, but we'll take it up from emotional, explain emotional hijack better. This is the, where is it? Sorry. The screen is not, where is it? Sorry. I'm not in the interface that I can. Okay. So we'll explain this from the next session, because we need to also understand what goes on in our brain when we are going through emotional hijack. And because the time is fast spent today, anybody online for us? So next week we would move on to part 3 of working with emotional intelligence. And I think I'm tempted to want to say that I will share this content with someone and probably co-facilitate the next session with that person. I just don't know. It just occurred to me. All right. Because, and the reason why that's just dawned on me is, what's the name of that brother that took us yesterday? Day before yesterday. Okay, Brother Femi. That guy came and, you know, he admonished us from the scriptures, all right, and using emotional intelligence. And I think I love that perspective also. All right. I don't know, maybe he's going to be my co-facilitator. I just tell him, give us 3 or 4 scriptural references, because some of us, we still really believe, just like he concluded day before yesterday, that all these teachings may not really have any value if you don't submit to the leading of the Holy Spirit. And I think that is on the note that I'm going to close today. Please help me give your neighbor a warm hug. If you are ladies to ladies, by the way, and guys, this is what you do, because we are talking about emotional intelligence. All right. Why you don't want to give anybody any hug? Get up.
This man.
Stand up now.
Oh.
All right, our people online. In fact, from next week, we would love to always hear from you. We just don't want you to be an observer. We want you to be a participant, as it were. So please try and participate next week. Give us comments online. You can also leave your comments even after the session, particularly so that we can know, get some feedback on how the experience has been for you online. All right. Thank you very much. We love you, everybody that joined us today online. God bless you. Okay.